Hello, my name is Michael Camper, and I'm part of the audio team at Epic Games. This is the first in a series of short videos to help you understand how to use the audio features available in the beta release of Unreal Editor for Fortnite, which I'll also be referring to as UEFN. If you have never used the Unreal Editor before, don't worry. In this video, I'll be going over some basics to help you get started. For more detailed information on working with UEFN, I've provided some official documentation links in the description below. To start with, let's create a new island using the blank template. There are a variety of templates available to help you get started creating islands, but the blank template is the most basic and empty, consisting of only 2 player spawn devices, a few pieces of flooring, and some basic project setup data, and that is what we see here. At the bottom left of the screen, you will see this tab called the Content Drawer. If you click on it, it will open up and show you the default structure of the project, which consists of 3 folders. The top folder will contain everything you import into your project, such as meshes, animations, and audio files. The Fortnite folder contains all of the devices, meshes, prefabs, and other goodies that have already been available to users in Fortnite Creative. There are a lot of objects and tools in here to help you populate your island, but I will be focusing on the few audio-related items in this video series. The Epic folder at the bottom contains a wider selection of material and textures you can use on your meshes. If we look in the Fortnite Sounds folder, you will see a variety of sound cues that are available to be used however you want in your island experiences. For example, if we open the Gadgets Ball folder, there are some sounds that might be useful if players on your island were interacting with a large basketball. Make sure you spend some time searching through these folders to get a good sense of what is available for you to use in your projects. Right now, there are 3 primary audio devices available to you in the beta version of Unreal Editor for Fortnite. The first device is simply called the audio player. This will be the main device you will use to play audio in your island. There is also the audio mixer and the radio. I will show you how to use each of these in subsequent videos in this series. For now, I will give you a few tips on how to best use the editor. First off, notice how when I click away from the content drawer, it closes. This helps to clear away the organizational part of your project and lets you focus more of your screen space on your island. In some cases, you may want to have your content permanently visible when you're working on your layout. In this case, you can go to the Window tab at the top left of the editor and select one of the content browsers, and then dock it wherever best suits your working style. There is also, in the upper right-hand corner of the content window, a settings button where you can switch the type of object display from tiles to lists to columns. On the right-hand side of the editor are 2 windows where you'll be spending a lot of time when you start adding projects and devices to your island. The top one is the Outliner. It is basically a list of everything that has been brought into the island itself. As you can see when you click on an object in the viewport, it also gets highlighted in the Outliner, and vice versa. There are a few tabs on the top to help you sort what can become a very cluttered window, but I would strongly recommend you start making folders for yourself to help keep things organized. As I am dealing mostly with audio, I would go ahead and make an audio folder and organize all of my subsequent audio objects inside it in whatever manner makes the most sense for the project. To do so, I will just right-click inside the Outliner and select Create Folder, name it Audio, and there we go. Right below the Outliner is the Details window. This is where you will be doing most of your adjustments to how your sounds will play back in your island. As you can see, when I click on one of the spawn pads, the Details window populates with all the data and variables available to you for this device. This includes the transform, which is all the location, rotation, and scale settings for the object, as well as user options and functions that allows you to set how the device operates. Each object has a different set of options and settings depending on what its function is in the experience. Devices, for example, have a lot of options regarding their functionality, while things like static meshes have options regarding textures and collisions on the island. I'm going to show you a few more basic things about working in UEFN before we end this video. First, in the upper right-hand corner of the viewport, there are a few buttons that adjust the transform. These buttons here allow you to change how you interact and adjust any object in the viewport. This one helps you move things around the space by selecting the different arrows. This one is for the rotation of an object. And this one is for scaling an object. The buttons to the right of these change the fine-tuning of the grids that the movement, rotation, and scaling snap to. On the upper left of the viewport is a menu that allows you to change the camera view of the viewport. It defaults to perspective mode, but you can change it to top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. This is helpful when lining objects up with one another when creating your island space and making sure objects are set exactly the way you want them. You can also change how you view your island by changing the next button. The perspective view is usually the best to look at in unlit or lit mode, while the other views tend to be most useful in wireframe mode. You can play around with these settings to find out what works best for you while you're working on your island. That's all I'm going to cover in this video. The next one will step you through how to use the audio player device in your project. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy creating your own islands in Unreal Editor for Fortnite.